All right, everyone, it's time for the Gravelanche. The Democrats finally have a candidate who's, actually worth listening to, if only for entertainment value, and that is Mikegravel. I feel very, very happy about this because Mikegravel actually is someone that I supported years ago, like when I was more college age, like leftist, liberal, or whatever. In the classical sense, obviously, because, back then liberals knew, no, you shouldn't be pro-war, no, you shouldn't be pro-government or corporate censorship, yes, power should be fought. Now they do the opposite of all these things because they sold out. But back then, a lot of people liked Mikegravel, and it was sort of a meme campaign. You'll remember, and you can look this up, Mikegravel Rock. There was an ad that he made at the time. This is old school fucking social media. This is back when Facebook was worth using, like before Timeline and shit. Before Zuckerberg started making it a G-rated site for little kids and people with little kid mentalities. It was actually kind of exciting. Like, there was edgy shit on there. It was sort of like any other website at the time. They decided to mature, aka become boring, and sell out completely to suck off some more money, dicks. But back at the time, we're talking the zeitgeist era, he made this ad. Literally, he just stared at the camera for 30 seconds, moved over, threw a rock in a pond or a river, and then walked off into the sunset. That was funny. People thought that was hilarious. At the debates, he trounced the other Democrats when they let him talk at all, and it's like they weren't going to take him seriously. He was sort of like Kucinich. He and Kucinich were sort of the standouts at the time for anyone that wasn't just a Democratic partisan. Having entered sort of political stuff for the first time as a non-Democrat, non-Republican, I was just looking sort of at what they said. I agreed with Gravel more than the others. And the drug war and the war in Iraq, yes, people are dying in vain, was one of his lines. They tried to ream him at the time. He's like, yes, our soldiers in Vietnam died in vain. Yeah, the government fucked him up. They threw him into a meat grinder and abandoned them. What the fuck more can you say? He said unorthodox things, and I think that had a small but fervent following at the time. Similar, again, to Kucinich and the way he's done things. Kucinich is sold out. I don't think Gravel has. Now, some of the things that he wants to do, he's like a dedicated, very far leftist. He's like, oh, Sanders is too far right and stuff like that. I can't agree with maybe the fiscal policies. But insofar as it's like withdraw from foreign theaters, no, censorship is not your friend, no, corporations, if they're people at all, are bad people and we should restrain them. Yeah, I agree with that. That's supposedly a far-right view now. I don't know. Gravel should be running as a Republican, I guess, at this point. The Democratic Party has significant problems that they do not want to address because it's difficult for them to look in the mirror and see an enemy. That's honestly what it boils down to. Some of these people, maybe they remember the good old days when the Democrats back in the 90s had some fucking sense. And they realized all of these things, and it was like cool Gen X kids with MTV and stuff. Now they've sold out. They've gotten older and fucking boring and shit like that. By the way, Beto O'Rourke, if you look at his campaign problems, being a hacker, must skateboard, eating magical dirt, apparently, and weird shit like that. This is what Gen X politics are really about. The Gen Xers now largely replacing the boomers in politics over time. Over the next couple of cycles, that cycle will be more or less complete. Look at the stuff they deal with. It's like Rand Paul and Aqua Buddha, which wasn't true, but it made sense at the time. Like 80s era, 90s era Rand Paul, fucking, grad student, getting higher than a kite and dragging a woman out to the pond to worship Aqua Buddha and smoke weed and stuff. Yeah, it made sense to people. This wouldn't have made sense 20 years ago, but Obama sort of cracked the seal on that one as the first politician from that new generation. Now millennial politicians are coming, they're way worse. Look at AOC and all these other morons in there. Way worse. Yeah, thank you, Gen Xers. You are the sane ones, and that's going some. No. I like Mikegravel. You should definitely check out the link in the description. You should be following up on his stuff. At the very least, if he gets on a debate stage at all, here's the power of Gravel. He may be a wedge issue, sort of dedicated, non-electable progressive. I think he's like 90-something at this point. He's older than the sands of time. But if you put him up on a debate stage, he's going to tell the rest of the Democrats to shove it. That's what he'll do. If you can get him to 2 or 3% in the polls, get him on one of these early debates and he gets any questions at all, you can expect him to go on an angry rant towards these people, and he's going to outshine Bernie Sanders 10 times over. Trust me, you just look at the way he debated back in 2008, I think at the time. Yeah, he's pretty good at it. Keeping in mind he only ever served one term in the Senate from the state of Alaska. He's not exactly a rich corporate candidate. Like, he was funding his own air travel, flying coach and stuff like that. A little bit more relatable, I think. It's funny when someone who's, literally like almost World War I era old is the most relatable candidate there for people that are younger. This was the case in 2008. At least he gave an interview in somebody's dorm room because he was asked. It's like, yeah, we'll stream it, like on, I think, Facebook at the time or something. They plopped it on YouTube or some podcast. And it was funny, you know. That was internet activism at its finest, and it's having a resurgence now. It's being fought against by the censorship lovers, but Gravel, I think, still has something to say and is still absolutely relevant. Would I vote for him? No, I don't think that I would go that far because he'd want to tax me more. But I definitely want to see him on the debate stage. Oh my God, it'd be fucking hilarious. Can you imagine? You would browbeat Bernie Sanders. Listen here, young whippersnapper. You're not a real leftist. Real leftists don't, want the government to go and put jackboots up people's ass. At least not as much. That's about all. Peace out.